What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Never Peak Podcast. If you're new here, this podcast gets straight to the point, and it's all about doing hard things to make yourself a better person, a stronger person, more equipped to handle challenges that come your way down the road for yourself, for your family, and for your community. Really glad to have you. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2. If you haven't checked out episode 1 yet, it's all around habits and feng shui, which actually we'll be touching on a little bit again today, the habit side of it at least. I do want to talk to you about setting goals in 2026. We have the first Monday of the year coming up. No matter when you're listening to this, though, this will be helpful so you can just check in on your goals, make sure that you're on the right track, and maybe some of what I've done in the past to hit some of my annual goals will help you hit yours in the future. If you find yourself setting goals and continuing to miss them, this is going to be a great episode for you. Most people think that they fail when setting goals and not hitting them because they aren't motivated enough. They're looking for that daily motivation when they wake up, and it never comes. Motivation is not a key for success. Most people fail in hitting their goals because they focus too much on the goal itself and not enough on their daily and weekly habits. Goals are important. Do not get me wrong. That gives you direction. If you shoot for the moon, you're going to end up in the stars no matter what. But goals are not meant to be worked on every single day. Goals give direction. Habits do the work. If you wake up every day thinking about the goal itself, that's probably going to burn you out because you're always going to feel so far away from those annual or 3 to 5 year goals, and you're going to burn out. The better way is simple. Set a goal and then stop thinking about it on a daily basis. You can always keep it in the back of your mind, of course, but the things you need to focus on daily are those habits that will help to get you to your goals. Everything in goal setting does start with one question in my mind. And I'll give some examples on this in a bit here. That one question to start with is, who do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Not what do I want to do next month? Not what sounds impressive to my friends or my family and what I want to be able to tell them at Christmas. But who do I want to become? Who do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? Back in 2022, I decided that I wanted to be the person who ran 100 miles in 24 hours. At that time, that felt completely unrealistic. I wasn't even close to that capability. I hadn't run more than maybe a marathon at that point. And even then, it wasn't an official marathon. So was I good enough to even complete a real marathon? But either way, I looked at that 100-mile goal. It felt so unrealistic. But regardless, I kept that in the back of my mind. And for 3 years, I chased that goal. While I was chasing that goal, I followed one big rule. Stick to one goal per year. And don't tell anybody about that 3 to 5 year goal either. That's something you can keep internally. As soon as you speak it into the world to someone else, it kind of makes you feel like you've already accomplished that goal, and that doesn't do anything good for you. You need to be chasing that goal. And if you speak that goal to somebody who's not as goal-oriented as you are, it's going to bring you down. They're going to make you realize how unrealistic it might sound. So keep that 3 to 5 year goal internally and instead set one annual goal. Jesse Itzler calls this a misogi, Japanese idea, setting one goal each year that will make you feel complete as long as you complete that one goal. And this has to be a big goal, something that you'll look back on in 30 years or in 10 years and be like, wow, I did complete that. I can tell my kids or my grandkids about that and feel good about it. If you do that every year for 30 to 50 to 60 to 70 years, you're going to have a lot of stories to tell. So the misogi is the big goal every year. And ideally, those goals help you get to those 3 to 5 year goals eventually. In 2022, my goal was to run an ultra marathon. I did that by completing the David Goggins 4x4x48 challenge. It made an ultra marathon in a day or in several hours feel more realistic to me. And that led me into 2023 being ready to complete a 50-mile race in under 12 hours. You can do the math on that. That then made it feel more realistic to complete in 2024 100 miles in under 24 hours. So those are incremental goals each year that brought me to my 3 to 5 year goal of completing that 100 miles in 24 hours. You can see how that would apply to a lot of different goals that you might have in your life. And I personally have planned my goals around 5 F's. I've heard 6 F's, 7 F's. I've narrowed those down as I've gotten older into 5 F's, those being in order from most important to least important: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. Your faith is, to me, especially more important than anything else. At the end of the day, it's all that matters. I believe that we are eternal souls, that our eternity is based around how we live here and how we live out our faith. So faith to me is more important than anything else. I think anybody who is spiritual, not even religious, would agree that faith needs to come first and everything else will follow. Next is family. I've actually looped in friends with family over the years because as you get older, as you start to have a family, you really, who you spend time with becomes more about proximity versus who you're closest with. And those who you do care to keep up with, they start to feel more like family than friends themselves. So your friends become your family as you age, and I think that's awesome. But that is an important one too. They're the ones that are going to fill your bucket. They will help you in your faith. We're not meant to be individuals on this planet. We're meant to be a community of people that are working towards a common goal. Fitness is next. You got to stay fit. You got to take care of yourselves if you want to be able to take care of your family, or if you want to be able to go to church and get down on your knees and pray. You got to have a healthy body. You got to take care of that vessel that we have. So fitness, and I've actually lumped in food to fitness as well, because fitness and food, it's a nice tandem between the two. Your food fuels your fitness, and you do need to focus on diet if you want to live a long and healthy life. If you want to be able to go out and do something that's important to you, you need to take care of yourself. Fitness and food being that third F. Finance is the next one. I've always said this and thought this is super important. If you don't have money, what you can give is limited to your time. And I want to be the kind of person who can support a nonprofit financially or pay others to go out and do something good for the community. And without a healthy financial life, you can't do that. What you can give is limited to your time. So I've always been very motivated, unselfishly, to be financially healthy so I can support others through those finances. The last bucket there, fun. Everybody's got to have fun. You got to be taking time out to take care of yourself. And for me, that could be traveling to see family members. That could be just calling family members and checking in with them, having a few minutes of good, healthy conversation. It could be watching movies. I love movies. I love TV shows. And that's a really easy way for me to relax and take a step back and realize, you know what? Stop taking this stuff so seriously, because there's got to be some fun mixed in with these serious conversations and the serious lifestyle that I try to live. So to tie this all together, the Misogi and my 5 F's, and keep in mind, there's no magic formula to achieving your goals. It's not an easy thing to do. All I'm speaking to right now is what has worked for me in the past. So in the spirit of making this actionable, like we try to do on this podcast, I'm going to break this down into 4 steps and 3 rules that I follow to hit my goals each year, as well as the 3 to 5 year goals that I do set for myself, that person that I want to become. My first step is identifying who it is that I do want to become in the next 3 to 5 years. It's a challenging question, so sometimes the better angle to start with is, who do I not want to be? For me in 2022, I didn't want to be the person who was afraid of what seemed like an unattainable goal, so I embarked on that journey to 100 miles in under 24 hours. Maybe for you, there's things that you don't want to do anymore. Maybe there's something you want to quit doing. Maybe you don't want to drink quite as much. Maybe you want to quit smoking. Maybe you want to start working harder in your career. Maybe you want to stop spending so much money or getting coffee on a daily basis. Make this 3 to 5 year goal something that current you would be amazed if you accomplished. That is the only way to start this so that you have a goal that's worth reaching towards. Once you know who you want to be, that 3 to 5 year goal, step 2 is to set your Misogi. That's your annual goal that future you will tell stories about. And the secret here is to make sure that that Misogi or those Misogis the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years work towards your 3 to 5 year goal. For me, those Misogis were my first 4x4x48, my 50 miler in under 12 hours. And that led me to that third year, my 3 year goal of completing a 100 miler in under 24 hours. That brings us to step 3. Once you have your long-term goal set and your 3 to 5 Misogi set, you need to create those buckets in your life. For me, it's those 5 F's that we talked about: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. For each of them, you need to set 1 to 2 daily or weekly habits that will help you work towards your Misogi. For those just getting into this, I would recommend 3 daily habits and 2 weekly habits, which is that perfect 5 bucket lifestyle that I tend to plan around. I'll give you another example here. For faith, my faith goal is always to read part of the Bible or scripture or read something that's going to help me learn about something important every day. And then I also have a weekly goal of attending church on Sundays. My family goal, which also includes close friends, I like to get on the phone and talk to one family member or one close friend every day. Something that really fills my bucket and keeps me connected with my community. Fitness has varied a lot for me over the years, but it's always been just move consistently on a daily basis. Finance is pretty simple for me. I always try to just aim to check my budget once a week to make sure we're on track there. And then I have quarterly meetings with financial advisors and whatnot where we need to. On the fun side of it, I love podcasts and movies. So I always try to listen to a podcast daily, at least part of one, that or an audiobook. And then once a week, I try to sit down and watch a good movie. Now, regarding all of these habits, keep them simple and straightforward. And above all, make sure that they help you work towards your annual goals. And as long as you're doing your very best to achieve those habits on a daily or weekly basis, you're going to find yourself completing your annual goals, which is going to get you a lot closer to who you want to be in 3 to 5 years. I do try to check in on my habits monthly and quarterly, just a deep dive every few months on if those habits are getting me closer to my annual goal. And if not, I'll adjust. And a lot of times I'll set a habit for myself and I'll just realize it's not attainable. So there's no shame in pivoting, but that's part of why it's so important to think and pray on those annual and 3 to 5 year goals. So you don't work towards something or becoming someone you only temporarily wanted to become. That's part of why I only plan 3 to 5 years ahead, is because I don't know who I will want to become far beyond that. The world will have changed. My family dynamic will likely have changed. Where I live could have changed. So planning any further than 3 or 5 years ahead of your life is almost not worth doing. Some people would disagree with that. Financially, I certainly disagree. But 3 to 5 years down the road is as far as I'll get with certain goals on my faith, family, fitness, and fun side of things. So that's how I plan my years and my 3 to 5 year sprints. But even when you have the right habits and system in place, habits are not easy. And some days you're just not going to feel motivated, and that's totally fine. Go easy on yourself, especially if this is new to you. I've been doing this for years, and rarely do I have perfect weeks. But I do have 3 rules that I use to ensure I stay on track. Rule number 1, never miss a Monday. Monday is a day to create momentum going into the rest of the week. So I always ensure I hit every one of my habits on Mondays. Rule number 2, never miss 2 days in a row. Even if you miss days frequently, that ensures you're going to accomplish that task at least half of your days. That's going to get you to a much better place completing half of your tasks than none of your tasks. And rule number 3, always give 100%. If you're not going to do your best, you're just wasting your own time. So even on those days when you're just going through the motions, always do your best to give 100%. Notice how I said that. Always do your best to give 100%. It's not always going to happen, but always do your best. Right now, we have the first Monday of the year coming up. Don't miss this chance to start strong and check in on each of those habits on a daily basis. Again, it's great to have those annual goals, but everything starts with daily habits that get you to those goals. In 2025, my one big goal was to launch a product I wouldn't want to live without myself, and I would feel good about giving to family members and friends. That turned into our new morning drink, NPX. In NPX, we have creatine, electrolytes, and a brain blend that is personally dosed based on body weight. All of these products out there nowadays, it's a one product fits all, one size fits all type of system. That's not right. We need to have a personally dosed product that gives us what we need based on our body weight. That's what NPX does. It gives you focused energy and hydration on a daily basis through all natural ingredients. And if this episode has helped you at all, I'd really appreciate a pre-order. We're working towards 500 pre-orders right now, and every single one of them is going to help us get to that point. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. This whole podcast is about doing hard things. Do something uncomfortable every single day, and your life is going to continue to progress and move forward. Small things done daily build a strong life. And I really, really believe that it starts with doing hard things to get you to a point where you're comfortable and confident in your own body and you feel ready to complete whatever challenges come to you. As podcasters say, like, subscribe, do what you do on these things. We'll be having another episode coming your way shortly. We do have our first guest that will be interviewed sometime in the next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Never Peak podcast. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks.